In this episode, we'll learn about what is plot modalities. Having learned how to research the subject that we have chosen to write upon, I now would like to give a brief idea about the plot. What is a plot? There isn't any absolute idea in the writer's mind as to what a plot signifies. A plot is simply an idea which can be taken forward. This can be explained with a concrete example. A young man came to the United States in search of a job, got married, and died. This is a kind of a story. But if you say a young man came to the United States in search of a job, got one, in the process he got married, but with a wrong partner. A partner who was selfish, egotistic, quarrelsome, so had to appeal for a divorce petition in the court, lost a huge amount of money, raised children single-handed, but perpetually grieved the loss of his wife, and he ended his life forever. Then this becomes a plot. You will observe that there is a cause and effect relationship. All plots have back and forward linkages. If you observed our life, it's never been a straight story. It has back and forward linkages. An event took place, for example, a man came to the United States, got married, and died. But there are questions raised about what happened or why did it happen. This is simply saying that there is a happening that takes place by chance or without prior thought or planning. In other words, the storyteller has made a critical choice in his quest. All stories begin with a quest or a searching. We do not know what exactly we are searching. This brings a sense of the unknown, or an exploration, or an adventure. In my novel, Together with You Forever, I made a critical choice at page number 57. In chapter 8, the night safari at the Singapore Zoo and the animal encounters, I said, after about a week, and introduced an adventure where my protagonists went on a fun-filled activity prior and after their visit to the Singapore Zoo. It was to celebrate my protagonist's first salary package after her deputation from the company. She was working with the company in the United States and moved to Singapore. The time was fulfilling for both the lovers, meaning happy moments. At this point, I made a critical choice. What was it? I created a bleak future about her lover at page number 65 in chapter 9, the seminar and the party. The questions that would need answers. For example, after the seminar and the party, and I quote here from my novel, in spite of Lucy's caring warning, Robin drank a lot of whiskey, so much so that he had to be lifted and carried till his home. It was dark now, and Shirley and Lucy wanted to reach home. Robin was in an inebriated condition. He slept with his clothes and shoes on until the next morning. You will observe that I delayed the answers to these questions. These delayed answers to the questions, perhaps in the reader's mind, would have created questions. What exactly happened to Robin? Why did he have to be lifted home? All these questions created a sort of surprise and suspense, a thrill about what would have made the protagonist appear in this condition in the novel. This creates a plot. I've had to make many different critical choices throughout, choices which would create questions in the minds of the readers, then supported it with delayed answers in the future chapters, taking the protagonists back into the past and again made them dwell in the future. This is what I mean about linkages in the plot. If the exploration or an adventure is a suspense, then it is forward thinking. And if it is a mystery, then it is a backward looking and an investigation. All fiction either falls in these two categories, and the writer has to get used to this aspect with ingenuity and discretion. Having spelled out that, in the next episode, we'll deal with yet another interesting aspect of the creative writing process. Thank you.